All right. Hi, my name is Jason Haddix, and I am the OWASP Mobile Top 10 project leader. I'm here at AppSec USA in New York, presenting a little bit about the mobile project and updates to the OWASP Mobile Top 10. So we've had a little bit of a conversation this morning with the people here at the conference over the mobile project in general, and things that we've added, like the IMOS project, updates to iGoat and Droid Goat as well, which are vulnerable mobile applications for auditors to test and play with and kind of get the security feel for mobile applications. But a lot of discussion has ended up being about the OWASP Mobile Top 10, and so we've combined some bullet points just to go over what we've done in the last year and what we're going to talk about here at the conference and solicit the public for their help with, so we can move forward with the project and finish off some of the bigger parts of it. So we're going to go ahead and skip through some of these slides real quick that we've already discussed at the conference and start with the OWASP Mobile Top 10 stuff. So updates to the OWASP Mobile Top 10 in 2013 consisted of refreshing pretty much the whole project. So the project was originally started by Jack Menino, who's here, of Invisium Security, Zach Lanier, who I think is at Occupant now, and Mike Zussman, who's where? Who? Carve Systems. Mike Zussman, who's with Carve Systems. And they really got together and drafted up these 10 categories of mobile vulnerabilities that you see that are currently on the OWASP site. But you know, everybody contributes their own time to this project, and so it kind of fell into disarray. So we came back and we wanted to this year re-ask the community for sets of their data. And so what we ended up doing is going to all of the awesome mobile auditors that we knew, all the mobile companies who were dealing with assessments of mobile applications, both Android, iOS, BlackBerry, everything. And we reached out to them via email, and we also did an open call for data, for as much data as they could give us, anonymized, of course, for the project. And so what happened is 6 large mobile assessment firms came back to contribute large sets of data. So we have, I think the number is somewhere around 1,200 assessments worth of data, which comes out to a lot of individual vulnerabilities that we have to classify into the OWASP Mobile Top 10 hierarchy. And then once that is done, you have to take that data once it's been classified and break it down and reorder basically the ordering of the list. And so these are things that are work in progress. We also had some of these companies and individuals contribute new wiki pages. If you look on the OWASP Mobile Top 10 project, every Mobile Top 10 vulnerability should have a wiki page associated with it. Well, you'll notice that a lot of those aren't filled out. So we had a whole bunch of companies submit new wiki pages. Some of the big ones that are going to be released this weekend are weak server-side controls, authentication. There's some around cryptography as well. So although they might not be totally polished, we'll have wiki content up there for people to see about these vulnerabilities and how they take form on the biggest platforms, mostly iOS and Android. So those should be coming, and those are updates that'll happen this weekend because of the AppSec USA conference. One thing that we noticed is we approached a lot of companies. We approached, I don't know, I would say about 35 companies total, maybe 30, somewhere around there. And only 6 got back to us. And so we really need more participation from the industry. People who do mobile assessments, people who have anecdotal data about mobile in the wild, people who develop lots of apps, really anybody who has any information on the mobile security problem, we want them to reach out to us. And the scope of OWASP is very limited when you send out one of these call for data. As it goes to a lot of people who already know about OWASP. But what you're missing is a lot of people who don't participate in OWASP but have a lot of say in the mobile world. So what we need to do is get OWASP people to actually reach out to their friends and colleagues, people at Google, people at Apple, people at BlackBerry, to come to us to work together to kind of get the project moving forward a little bit more. We are going to move forward with what we have right now, but we'd like more participation in the future. So the other thing that I mentioned is the categories, and we proposed some new categories this year and some renames of some current categories. And basically, before we made those changes right into the project, because there's basically, like 5 people working on this thing right now, we wanted to engage the community here at AppSec and talk about it a little bit before we made any changes, because we didn't want to mess with anybody's current SDLC. Maybe they had built around the OWASP Mobile Top 10, or maybe they built some controls documents or something like that. So we wanted to talk about it a little bit first and make sure we were comfortable with what we were changing. So we're going to go over a little bit of what we were looking to change in the OWASP Mobile Top 10. So this next slide here that says categories has our current list on the left-hand side. And then in the middle, some notes about what happened to the category. And the coloring doesn't exactly look great in this Google Doc. I apologize, but I'll read them off for you. So M1 through M3 in the OWASP Mobile Top 10 were insecure data storage, weak server-side controls, and insufficient transport layer protection. And in order to make the Mobile Top 10 more accessible to developers who really didn't work in security, we tried to take out all the really technical terms, just so that people could get a feeling about what exactly was happening in these categories. And the more you rename them like this, the easier it is to fit other vulnerabilities inside of these categories for us too, so that we can classify the data in a cleaner way. So insecure data storage is being proposed to change to insecure data storage on device. Weak server-side controls is being proposed to be renamed to violation of web application security principles, which is the biggest category in the OWASP Mobile Top 10 by far. We'll talk about some statistics later on, but the critical vulnerabilities most of the time live on the server side, and so all of those server-side vulnerabilities are fit into that one M2 category. Which is kind of crazy, but that's just how it works right now. So then you have insufficient transport layer protection, and in order to encompass things like NFC and other protocols, not just a certain layer of the OSI model, we changed it to poor network communication controls. And these are proposed changes; they haven't been decided on them, quite yet. They might change again pretty soon, but. These are things. And so then the stuff that you have in the white here that's not grayed out is stuff that we're still kind of noodling on. Client-side injection, poor authorization authentication, improper session handling. Really, we came up with some problems when trying to change the old list and make new categories, and then we have a couple new categories that we were thinking about adding into it, into the project as a whole. Like you'll see at the bottom of the right-hand side in the proposed list, there's malicious behavior and lack of binary protections. And these are 2 new categories that are proposed but are in heavy debate right now. Oh, well, lack of binary protections isn't in heavy debate, but what happens when you add another category is you either go to 11, which isn't an OWASP Top 10 project anymore, or you have to mash together some other vulnerabilities into categories which might not quite fit as well. And then with malicious behavior, the other one that's new there, there's a big debate that we just had at the table here at AppSec is where does malware fit into the OWASP Top 10 at all, right? It is a huge problem within the mobile landscape, but it's not an application problem that developers can control themselves. They can build in protections, but they can't control the piracy and the malware embedded in the stores and stuff like that. So, so we're still talking about those type of things. So if you take out the stuff in gray that we've either decided on, or there might have been a rename or something like that, we're left up with these 5 rows here. And so client-side injection on the left-hand side is the current one. That's what it's called. We're proposing to rename it to poor input validation. We need a better name than that, really, but basically we want to consider both input sanitization and output encoding for all sections of the mobile app, not just form fields, but also when it takes data in through like an IPC or something like that. Any data that comes in or goes out or gets rendered needs to be handled in some secure way. So we're still looking for a good name for that category, because injection is a real problem inside mobile apps. And it's all over the place inside of the mobile apps, but we need a good name for it. So then there's poor authentication and session handling, and security decisions via untrusted inputs. These are all things that were defined in the old Mobile Top 10, but we don't know if we're going to end up mashing them together with other categories and how we get to a Top 10. So what we're butting our head up against really is something we talked about at the table. Is an OWASP top 10 project really the top 10 bad things you see verbatim, right? Is it injection and insecure data storage and then everything else goes by the wayside, right? The other 30 things that belong inside of mobile security do not get put on an OWASP list. Or is a top 10 list 10 things that encompass all of the vulnerabilities that could take place on mobile that are important, so that you could really fit any mobile vulnerability into a category and it would work. And you could use the project for things more than the other side of that coin, right, where you just have the top 10 vulnerabilities. And so historically, the OWASP top 10, the web one, worked in a way that they ended up mashing these two ideas together, right? Some are categories and some are specific vulns. And so we're talking about, here today we're talking about what's more useful for people. For organizations who want to use the mobile top 10, it might be more beneficial to have these buckets, right? These 10 buckets where any mobile vuln could exist. For, secure coding for developers, the top 10 list might work for them, right? They want to know the top 10 things to fix immediately inside of their mobile app. So these are some discussions we have to decide on here. So we have some timelines. We plan to regroup after the conference and release some stuff. So these dates have changed dramatically, but the vulnerability categories we were hoping to have renamed and reordered via the two, the apps that we got submitted to us this year by January. So that's the first two bullet points there. The vuln categories and the reorganization by metrics, we were hoping to have that done by January. And these actually might take place sooner because we're actually less busy during the holidays. We can probably get some of this work done, but we don't want to commit to that, so don't hold us to that. I'm just kidding. So then we'll have, after we do that, we're going to have a 90-day review comment period for what it ends up looking like. So just like code, we're going to check in some changes, and the community can respond and say they don't like it or they like it, they need to change something or whatever. And so that will be super useful. Then the big thing, like I said, is the wiki content. We have some people who have submitted some wiki content, and we've written some. It just hasn't gotten posted on the wiki. And any of you who do, hardcore wiki lifting or formatting know that it's kind of a pain. So we're getting ready to post some stuff that'll probably go up, this weekend, pretty soon. But we want the wiki content to be fully done by January. That's different than what's on the slide, but that's what we want. And then the overall deliverable of any OWASP project is this big PDF sheet that you can kind of institute inside of your organization. It's a release PDF. And we're hoping by March we should have a release PDF for the OWASP Mobile Top 10. So those are our timelines there. So we talked about some of the issues we're facing already. We have some muddled categories that we're trying to create hard lines for. We also have the question is, who is the mobile top 10 for? Is it for organizations trying to classify their vulnerabilities into a system, or is it for the developer who's trying to fix his app? Who is this really for? And then once we answer that question, we can move forward with classifications and things like that. When we end up on one of those sides, is 10 categories either too few or too many for this project, right? We can successfully make a project with 8, or we could successfully make a project with like 14. I mean, it could go either way, and so fitting exactly to 10 is really troublesome. So we're trying to figure that out this week. If you do it by the category base, if you just do it by prevalence based, by vulnerabilities top 10, then you can just do the top 10 really, clear cut and dry. So so these are things that we're having to look at. And then how broad do we make these categories? So we're trying to engage with people here at the conference to see what they're seeing, both auditors and companies that develop and companies that are involved in risk management and all this kind of stuff, to get more data and work with the project and make it really the best thing we can make it. There's also the option of just leaving the project alone, which will come up in a discussion. Maybe people like it how it is and they don't want to change anything. That's totally fine. We can find other places to put in our content that we've discovered. And so that's a brief overview of the changes that have happened with the project itself. So just here at the conference, we plan to discuss some random stuff, but it's really free form. So we don't have we don't have anything we have to talk about in specific. One of the things is that we've been working with the data that we've gotten from multiple companies, and right away when you start looking at this large, massive data, which we can't release to the public, but it exists and it's scrubbed, is that we see right away that the server-side issues are a huge problem still. I mean, and this is no surprise to anybody who's doing mobile application security work, is that there's a lot of issues with data protection on the device, but 50%, I would say, and this is just a ballpark number, is happening on, the vulns are happening on the server side, and they're egregious vulns that, things that we should have had fixed a long time ago, because we've been battling application security for 10 years now, and there is an OWASP top 10 for web already, but people are forgetting that these mobile apps have backends, and that it gets even muddier when you add the fact that some of these are just APIs, and people have forgotten how to assess APIs or build security into APIs or web services. So these are things, and by the way, the slide you're looking at right now has nothing about what I'm talking about. So just pay attention to my voice, not what's on screen. But yeah, so we're seeing a ton of issues with the server side, and then encryption on the device and things like that. So that is a little bit about what we have. I think that was all we had for the update. Is that good, guys? Good? Yeah. Okay. So that's a little bit about the update of the OS Mobile Top 10. We'll continue to discuss some stuff here at the conference, and try to figure out some ideas to take care of the problems. But if you guys can contribute anything, anecdotal data, mobile expertise if you're an auditor, vulnerabilities if you're an auditing company and you can scrub your data in a way that you want to contribute it to us, all these things help us to make a more accurate project. So we really encourage you to contact us. Where our emails are up on the OWASP Mobile Top 10 site. You can reach either myself, Jason Haddix, Daniel Miesler, or Jack Menino. We're all working very closely with the project. So if you have any questions or you want to contribute anything or any time, we definitely love to hear from you. So thank you very much, and thank you.